Hi, everyone, and welcome back to The Things We Know. Today, we're talking about something that shapes us far more than we realize. Shout out to my husband, Darren, for giving us this suggestion, even though we don't really remember why he gave it to us. But it's pretty cool. Cumulative knowledge.
I love it, which is really just a more elegant way of saying we already know more than we think and more than we think we know, and definitely more than we give ourselves credit for. And not because we aced a test or collected degrees. It's because every season of life leaves something behind.
Yeah, it's hard-earned wisdom. Um, some of it becomes scar tissue. Some of it becomes the stories we sometimes need to unlearn. But yes, I think you said it. We underestimate the wisdom we have. We've talked about Crohn's before, but that's
Yeah.
that's the time of life we're in, and we should lean into it for sure.
Oh, yeah. And knowledge isn't just information. It isn't like, oh, I learned all this because let's be honest, we're forgetting stuff.
Oh my
Um,
God, so
it's
stuff.
lived experience. Like, and if you're a believer of things like, knowledge lives in the body, right?
Mm.
It's lived experience. It stacks over time, layer after layer, quietly shaping who we become. And we talk about this a lot. Damn it, life isn't linear. Um, I wish it was, right? You learn a lesson, move on, you move on. And like so much of just a human experience, especially with our clients, but really truly everyone we know, is that you kind of realize you're learning the same lesson over and over again. You get sick of yourself, you get sick of it until you realize, like, oh, each time I'm actually responding to it with more wisdom.
Yeah, like it's another layer of that. It's interesting. I do think when I think about cumulative knowledge, I think of like a big library of books, which is funny because I love Akashic Records. And when I go into the Akashic Records, you can look it up if you don't know what that is. My picture, my vision of is a huge library with a big spiral staircase. So, I picture this as I think about my life and adding cumulative knowledge. Each chapter of life adds another book to the shelf. I don't pull those books down all the time for sure, but they definitely, I mean, obviously, all of this influences my past, influences my future, no question. I think it's true of all of us.
Absolutely. I love that. I definitely I talk about this, like the wisdom, and also I said this at our retreat. I've said this too many times. I used to look at women our age and think they didn't care. And now
Yep.
I'd listen to my mom go, but I have wisdom, but I have wisdom. Listen to me. And I realize now, like, oh yeah, there is just a knowing and just a beautiful, I don't know, like I mean, we just lost Diane Keaton this week that we're
Mm.
recording, and I think of, oh my gosh, cumulative knowledge on that beautiful, incredible soul, right? Like
Yeah.
what she learned, what she imparted, but also like just how she began to enjoy life and left millions to her dog. That's so freaking amazing. Just like the benefit and the joy of that, right? That's not to do anything with, but to just live with it. And
Mm.
I honestly, back to your thing, unlike a real library, right? We can't return the volumes we don't like
Dang it.
because they're part of a collection, and we choose which ones stay on the front shelf and which ones collect a little dust.
Yeah. I love, love, love Ted Lasso. I'm excited that it is coming back at some point. And that show is, I think one of the things that made it so lovely is it is sort of a master class on the idea of cumulative growth, right? Nobody changed overnight. Ted didn't go to one therapy session and he was magically fixed, right? Rebecca doesn't find her voice overnight. Took Roy a really long time to sort of soften. It wasn't just one big speech
Oh my
or
gosh, and Jamie, yeah,
oh, Jamie. Oh, no question.
whoa,
He was by
yeah,
far my favorite arc. No
yes.
question. Yeah, I mean, that's what was so great about that show was as sort of fun and frivolous as it was. If you took a second to look a little deeper, you really saw, again, a masterclass in just how life unfolds.
Yeah, because each of those characters, when I think about it, they grow because everything they lived through, wasn't like that layer you talk about.
Yeah.
Every awkward conversation, every failure or feeling of failure, like every quiet moment, every misstep, it's how real people grow too, right?
Yeah.
Like I wish so many times I had the perfect thing to say, but like if it happens to me a bunch more times, I will. But in those characters, right? Like that's why their evolution feels so believable.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's rarely about the big moments. It's about all those little things that lead up to it. I was just saying to Darren the other day, I hadn't said this in so long, but one of my go-tos used to be small hinges swing big doors.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like God, I felt like I said that all the time back in the day when I was coaching students in particular. And I think that is a perfect example of cumulative knowledge. Each bit of knowledge that we learn and carry with us is another small hinge that eventually swings open the big doors for those big moments that we get to
Yeah.
celebrate and enjoy.
I mean, the obvious thing this brings to mind for me too is I'm like, we aren't just coaches. We have trained a lot of coaches. And what's really tempting for anybody who's working one-on-one with people is to want to just have these big, like these big
Yeah.
moments in every session. Oh, and if they cry, that meant, oh, that's good, and you were like, police, because like so much of it is layers. It is never about, well, it's never about our ego, about how that felt for us or them. It's really about like, it's these little layers of time over time. Like it's actually really all those small hinges that may in the moment not feel like a big deal, but when they add up, it is the difference. And
No
I'd
question.
much rather have that than a fake through.
Absolutely. I mean, we see it at our retreats, for us, for me, I think for you too. My favorite piece of our retreat is the end of the retreat, and we ask for reflections, not only of the group, but then to have the group reflect back to each individual member. And watching those reflections, they very rarely are the biggest thing the person shared. Oftentimes, it is a one-on-one conversation that they've had over a cocktail or during one of the breakout sort of sessions that is the small hinge that swung the big door for that other person that was witnessing it. That is, oh, it's my favorite part.
Mm,
Hmm.
I love that.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about my cumulative knowledge. Like, how does this unfold for me? And I think I can't help but think about coaching and just my career in coaching in general, right? So I sort of learned to be a coach unknowingly for working 14 years for Weight Watchers. And then I come into my training to become a health and life coach. And I immediately realize that what I've been doing for 14 years is coaching. Like we weren't called coaches. Weight Watchers calls them that now, but at the time we were called leaders or facilitators. And I remember going through training at HCI and thinking like, I even saying to Darren at one point, I wonder if there's somebody at HCI that's on staff, like as a consultant for Weight Watchers, because so much of what I'm learning, that's what I teach already. And that felt so validating, right? Then to go through mastery, same thing. And then even you and I going through the positive intelligence course this summer, it was
Yeah.
just, it really, that more than anything. It had been a long time since I'd taken a class. And here it was taking what you and I are, in my opinion, what you and I already knew about the critter brain and unpacking it in bigger depth to
Yeah,
talk about the
totally.
saboteurs and the sage. So I didn't feel going into becoming a health and life coach like I was starting at square one. I already felt like I had this knowledge that I was now building upon. And then doing the positive intelligence course, I had this knowledge that I was now building upon. So that to me is the clearest example in my life of how I can look back and be like, ooh, I just kept building, adding.
I love that. And you know what else that made me realize? Just what popped into my head listening to you is we were just on a previous recording talking. I mentioned masterminds, like the idea. If anyone's ever heard of it, if they've ever read Napoleon Hill's book, what's it called? The Napoleon Hill's
How
book.
to, that's not the how to influence people thing. That's what's his
No,
name.
wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing that I forgot that because I used to read it. See, again, things fell out, but I do have the knowledge from it. I just don't
Yeah,
remember the
just
name of
not the
it.
title.
Anyway, the idea of a mastermind is that when you come together with other
Mm.
people, that you'll like unlock even more creative juices and like come up with even more brilliant solutions. But what you're saying, what I love is like it's the mastermind of you at different times of your brain
Mm. Mm.
learning different things unlocks other stuff. So like
Yeah.
when we come into, and hopefully anyone is doing anything is continually challenging themselves to learn more and expand. And that's what we did. We did some more training this summer. We learned new tools.
Yeah.
When we do that, it isn't just a new tool. It is like Oh, that unlocks this other thing we know. And this is how we blend them. And
Right.
our retreat was such a beautiful um example of that, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do we bring that into some like shadow and belief work and stuff that we already know how? And this goes together so nicely. And this is yet just another tool, because all minds are different and all people learn differently and process differently. And this might really land in a way things don't land in other ways. So I love that. That's so fantastic. What a great example. I was going to say, when I look back at just how to be human, right?
Hmm.
Just how I've grown as a person. Like, I will notice things. I will share, like, you could probably think of examples. I'd give it like examples of recently where I'll look at you and tell you something. I'm like, I can't even find like, I'm not even offended or upset by this. Like, it's not like like an old version of me might have been insecure about
Right.
this thing I'm telling you, but I don't even feel that anymore. And
Yeah.
it's not that I'm detached or numb. It's literally like, I know better. I don't I don't spin over that stuff. And it's worth
Right.
mentioning to you because it's cumulative knowledge that helps me go, I have no control over that. It's not my business what that person's thinking. And whatever, it doesn't mean anything. That's just how they're doing it.
Right.
So I think the messy seasons of like where because I'm so sensitive and I'm so in tune with people, I think those have my cumulative knowledge has taught me how to like conserve my energy and be more
Mm.
present to myself and other people. It's the work that like it felt temporary, but it's like how I am now, right? And I think friendships that shifted taught me how to hold that difference, like how to understand how like it's just life's not really worth spending with people unless you're being real and authentic. And if you're getting super caught up in all the stories you tell yourself, you know, that's
Yeah.
just draining. And so I think my cumulative knowledge is life's short, like be present and don't sweat that stuff. And that feels so much more effortless, but it took a lot of learning.
Yeah. I love the word you just used a few seconds ago, the idea of unlocking, because I think that's exactly it. Like
Yeah,
we can learn and learn and learn, but with each learning, whether it was easy to do or hard to do, um, it does unlock a new layer of the things we've learned before, right?
totally.
And again, not to keep belaboring, although also keep belaboring the retreats. It's fascinating because we've had people come. We have 4 retreats. We're getting ready to go back to our original content, which in and of itself, Carrie and I are different people. So while it might in theory be original, it's the same. It will have a new flavor because we've unlocked new information. We have women that it came from 1 to 4, started at 2, and is coming to this first. Like it is all it all. I think we've done a good job in our retreats of having unknowingly, not really knowing the word cumulative knowledge. Of doing that, right? Of like it
Mhm.
builds upon each other. You could come to one retreat and not come to 2 or 3 and come back, and you're still gleaning all of that, coupled with the fact that in some ways it is a mastermind for the weekend of these 20 beautiful women that we get to facilitate.
Yes. This isn't like going to be as smooth a segue as I pictured. But since you were talking about Ted Lasso and I'm thinking about and the reason it isn't smooth is we're talking about women who are really dedicated to their growth. And I want to reference The Bear, a show we both love, because that is like that is an example of a group that like is developing cumulative growth, right?
Yeah.
But they're such a mess. They're such a hot mess. That's what makes it compelling. And I wouldn't say that about the women who come to our retreats. So
No.
that's what, but anyway,
I get it.
so this that being said, when you look at that, if you haven't watched it, please watch it. You'll love it. I mean, and I get it. It's stressful to watch if you've ever worked in a
Love it.
restaurant or if you get anxiety in, fast situations. You got to get a little used to that, but it's so worth it. It
Yeah.
really just kind of, as my son says, it zooms in to the really, really like slow, awkward moments, and then it zooms out for a lot of chaos. It's really
Yeah.
interesting. Anyway, the kitchen is such a good picture of how cumulative knowledge actually works.
Yep.
That's what just made me think of this. Everyone brings their own story into that space. And
Hmm.
it's a cramped space and there's a lot of pressure, skill, trauma, old habits, small triumphs. And I mean, if you watch a show, there's a lot at stake for each of these people. So it's loud, it's imperfect, it's chaotic, but it's also a family.
Yeah.
And over time, those experiences build something real. And I think at some point in this last season, Carmi says, like, it's like family, whether it's messed up or not, it
Yeah.
is, you're never alone. That's what he said. You're never alone.
Yeah, and again, it's not just about individual growth. I think our best growth comes when we're sharing it with others, right? And where we're in a collective. Again, why we love to do the retreats. Because yes, these women, you're right. They are here for a reason. They are personal growth is important to them. However, they do all come in with their own history and the things that they are challenged with right now that they want to break through. And when everyone's sharing that history, each history does collide, right? Like the bear. Everybody's stories comes in and everyone understands that nobody's perfect, that we're all going through it. And I think
Mm.
that's what makes our retreats work. It's what makes the kitchen work and the bear, like that idea of bringing our own wisdom, our own knowledge, whether it's a 19-year-old like Charlotte at the last retreat or almost 80 in our first retreat, like it all counts and we all get to learn from it and
I
unlock more
know.
things.
Right. And I love using your analogy that is so beautiful. It's a shared library, different books, same shelves, and everyone has
Yeah.
access to them. And I think that's so cool. It's so like, if you're like me or Lisa, where you work at home, you can see why we get so excited about this. Cause like actually being in the same room as people and being able to like take a peek into somebody else's history and like really just learn from and benefit from that just makes everybody more knowledgeable.
Yeah, no question. And you go again in coaching, we see this constantly, right? We have clients who show up saying, they don't know what to do, but you give it a little space, ask a few questions, and lo and behold, they know exactly what to do, and weirdly think that we've unlocked it for them. And I'm like, no, no, no. I just asked you a few questions. You unlocked it. But
Yes.
I think again, women in particular, and I've said this before, we so live in a world or in our heads of like, thank you next, right? Oh, I'm done with that. But if you really sit for a second and ask yourself, give yourself the space to understand where you've come, it will show you where to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Cumulative knowledge is the reminder that even when something feels new, we're
Yep.
not starting from zero. We've already built muscles, resilience, perspective, adaptability, empathy. Like you're already there. And I think all the time, all of us have said this in different times, but like where I hear it all the time is out of our friend Alan's. He's such a great coach.
Yeah.
Alan's mouth, which is you you say you're new at this, but like tell me about other things you've done in your life. You weren't born today, right? So
Right.
if you tell me you haven't worked for years because you've been running the house and your kids, I'm going to tell you how you're really good at this. I'm going to show you all the
Yep.
skills that you've honed that you're probably fresher at than some people. If you've been an accountant, if you have been an attorney, if you have been a teacher, like we're going to pull all of those things and show you like you're not beginning here. Like that just gives you a really unique skill set to hone in on here and make
Hmm.
you whatever you're offering unique because of your background in XYZ. And I love that. I love that reminder to people that like who are afraid of a career change,
Right.
that or who are afraid to suddenly become step parents or whatever it is, that like actually you have everything you need. Let's like, and it's not just like rebranding it, it's like reframing it, but
Hmm.
actually dusting it off and realizing, oh, I got that muscle. Okay, phew.
Yeah. And to your point about the books that we can't just return, sometimes it isn't always wisdom and good stuff that we're carrying. Sometimes it is an old script, the belief that we have to prove our worth, that emotions are weakness, that our needs need to come last. Like, sometimes there are some books that we could stand to burn.
Okay, I'm loving this analogy we're keeping going. um and I because I do think that's part of the work, right? Like we a while back we did, was it this season, the five love languages, and we were
I have
like,
no idea.
this needs an update. It's
Yes, it was this
incredibly
season.
like
Yes.
patriarchal, and we were like, So, but like you don't throw out the whole idea, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, it's like deciding which things need an update, which things need to be archived, which I like. What are the stories that are no longer serving you? Because you're
Mm,
right. Some of it's knowledge and some of it is stories.
yeah. Yeah. That don't serve. Yeah.
I would say cumulative knowledge doesn't just live in individuals, as we were talking about it, like in groups. It is so powerful. It can send you home with newly developed individual cumulative knowledge, but also communities carry it. Families, movements, cultures. We are big into cumulative knowledge as a community. I mean, I don't think there's a single episode where we don't talk about what's going on in the world, but honestly, we're learning right now with our cumulative knowledge. We did not protect democracy enough. We did not
Mm-mm.
protect the separation of church and state. We did not protect, women's voting rights enough. Like there's been so much efforting
Mhm.
that the cumulative knowledge is now showing us, oops, there's a lot of things we were taking for granted. Um, they pass, like groups and communities, hopefully, damn it, pass down stories if they're not, banned.
Mm.
Recipes, songs, survival strategies, rituals for holding both joy and grief. Like friends of mine who do deep ancestral work, you talked about the
Akashic records.
Akashic records. Like that is cumulative
Oh
knowledge.
yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Gives me chills thinking
Yeah.
about.
No, I mean, and to the point of Akashic Records, I mean, I know of this because
Mhm.
of Jenny Nesbitt, who we just had on a few weeks ago, talking about the power of our stories. Our cumulative knowledge are our stories. And if we can't get them out, whether it's writing a book with Jenny's help or just sharing, even Good to Go with Amy Pickard, like that whole uh her I can't even, I'm losing my brain on what it's called, but her piece for Good to Go, like in that book you write out what you remember from your teens and your 20s and your 30s, and you're passing that knowledge on to the people that live beyond you. All of that stuff is so incredibly important. And for marginalized communities, that knowledge is often a lifeline. It's what builds the resistance, creativity, joy in the face of the injustice that we're waking up to every morning. Um, and quite frankly, I mean, there's a lot I think that you and I do now around um, energy healing and somatic work and even affirmations and meditations. Like the mainstream culture has tried to downplay that, again, probably out of fear, like we talked about with faith and freedom. But it's actually essential, and it's been around a lot longer than some of the stuff that's trying to be peddled to us right now.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I think when we listen to voices outside our own,
Mm,
our internal library expands. That's just really what this is about. When you're open to hearing the voices and stories. And to be clear, I do want to say, just in case you're like me and you go, okay, wait, you just said some stories, but then when tell your story, when Lisa says tell your story, like that is really like share your story, who you are. When I was saying gotta let go of some stories, there's something we say a lot in coaching, which is the stories we tell ourselves. Those are not
right.
true. Those are the things like you're not good enough.
The things
But
that
really
aren't
what we made
serving.
are the limiting beliefs
Yeah.
that have turned into truths, I say with quotations, and in like the stories we tell ourselves that keep us from really fully being ourselves and authentic. So there's a difference, and I should probably use different words, but like getting your story and telling your story and feeling heard and seen is so important for generational work.
Yes.
So yeah, listening to voices outside of our own, our internal library expands. We get to borrow from other people's stories to enrich our own wisdom, and that I think that that's beautiful.
Um, you guys have tiny libraries in Portland, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't think we have them really here in LA, but we have them had them in Chicago, have them in Chicago. And that's what makes me, when you're saying borrowing, I'm not even thinking of going to a big library. I'm thinking about going into little neighborhoods and borrowing a book from their tiny library and putting my book back in. Like, oh, I love tiny libraries. Yeah, I mean, again, not everything we accumulate is good. Some of it is fear. Like you said, it's the limiting beliefs. Some of it is bias. We all have it, no matter what. And some of it is the survival strategy that we learned as a young person before we even were aware of it, that maybe served us then, but doesn't
Yeah.
serve us now. I mean, we again, this isn't supposed to be a commercial for the retreat, but we did a lot of work around that in the Brave and Boundless retreat in Chicago.
Mm. Yeah, I'm still on such a high from that.
Totally.
Another pop culture reference here, though, that's making me think of that when you said survival strategy is Groundhog Day.
I love Groundhog Day. It's one of my favorites.
Such a perfect metaphor. That character Bill Murray plays, he wakes up the same day again and again. And at first, like he takes advantage of it. He repeats
Yep.
old patterns. He gets into like the worst of like his probably worst traits, right? Like he
Yep.
gives in to some of, and like who wouldn't, right? He was kind of in hell. Like, I guess I'll capitalize on this,
Yeah.
but over time he learns, he evolves. The day doesn't change, but he does. And I think that
Yeah.
that's such a cool reminder that like we can't change the things that are happening around us, but we can evolve through it.
So hot take, how long do you think that goes on? This is always a question, like how many days has he lived? When you think about how much he changes in that movie, how many years do you think it is?
Oh, I wasn't thinking years. That's funny that I never thought of that. I was thinking months.
Yeah. But if you think about, I mean, his arc is so big, right? I mean, he literally completely changes as a human being. Darren, I think Darren thinks it's
Because
like
he
several
doesn't look any
decades.
older.
No, because he's doing
Yeah.
right, because he's doing that, but it's actually not months. It's actually like years and years, maybe
Interesting.
decades that he's reliving that, because and I love that also, for me, it tips into sort of like the idea of reincarnation because he keeps coming back every day until he finally does kind of become not
That's
kind of becomes a good
true.
person, right? Like he has to learn these lessons over and over and over again. Um, and I think it's lovely, unlike reincarnation, where you don't really know what you did in past lives, unless you have a reading or an Akashic Records reading. He gets to know, and he does get to build upon that. I mean, that movie is
Mm.
so great and yet so spiritual at the same time. I
So
love that
true.
movie. Love it,
I
love it, love it.
know. Um, there's some funny things that we've learned along the way too, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, like hair,
Ugh, I
hair,
mean,
or just like all this stupid diet culture stuff,
yeah.
and um, there's cumulative. But then, like as wise women, we're also like, we're just gonna watch that shit repeat itself, like even
I
if
mean, I
even if
will
we knew
say
better.
Charlotte went through a moment in middle school where she really, really, really wanted to dress like a mom in the 80s, like with the high-waisted pants and I just literally refused to buy those clothes. So no, I'm not always going to sit back and let it happen. I was like, I am not buying you that windbreaker to go with those mom jeans. You are in the 8th grade, for fuck's sake.
My gosh, my kids love to thrift, and I always think they look like like
They look like Mac DeMarco.
someone's uncle in the 70s or something. That sounds creepier than I meant it to. Um, someone's nice uncle, someone's fun uncle,
Right, 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 right. Good uncle. I
yeah.
mean, we've done this before where we've talked about, the things we wish we knew, and I think there's living and laughing and looking back, that in and of itself is like such wisdom. I think that's when it's wisdom, right? When you're not taking offense anymore. Like you said, you're right. We have these conversations all the time where you're like, God, a past me would have really taken offense or would have handled that differently. I think when you can embody something and know that a past you would have handled it differently, that's, I think, to me, that's when it feels
Right.
like wisdom,
Yeah, right.
right?
Because I think the thing I was telling you about was like this would have hurt me before, and now I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Like this has nothing to do with me. Um, and I like, oh, I do that thing where I like say the things my parents said, and I.
Oh, me too.
But oh my gosh, this reminds me of that saying that youth is wasted on the young, because when you have all this knowledge, you certainly wish you had like a lot less obligations, a lot more time, and and like all the um agility to like go do it differently.
I'm laughing because literally a friend and I were talking this morning, and that exact line was texted. Youth is wasted on the young. I
Oh
think
my
I feel
gosh.
that more often from aches and pains than anything. But
Sure.
yeah, because I think, yes, and you and I really try, and I think it's the whole purpose of what we do here, is we try to realize that you there are things that we can't do anymore because we are not young. However, there's a lot that we really own now in a way that we didn't own back then that makes this
Mhm.
part of our life in some ways the best.
I do love it. I
Yeah.
do. It's weird. It's weird how I
It's,
can like love this and be living in such a weird, hellish time.
I
Like,
mean,
yeah,
absolutely.
there's both. Both are true.
Yes, both are true.
Mm, anyway, well, here's the invitation then. Stop telling yourself you don't know enough, right?
Mm.
You carry a whole library. You have a whole library of things that you can draw from when you're approaching anything new.
Yeah, and you get to decide which books deserve to be pulled out, dusted off, read through, laughed at, which get to just stay on the shelf. Where do you want to borrow from other people's libraries? Like that's you get to make that decision.
Mm,
So we picked we're doing a repeater, and I do believe this is the first time we have repeated this, but it is a perfect song for this, which is Landslide by Fleetwood Mac.
mm.
The lyrics I picked are, I should say, can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Well, I've been afraid of changing because I've built my life around you, but time makes you bolder. Even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Mm,
Always makes me cry.
I know, it's so good. So good.
So good. I feel like what I want to say is, cumulative knowledge is proof that nothing is wasted.
Yeah.
Like I used to say to the when I worked in AmeriCorps with AmeriCorps and I did the education programming, and they'd be like, "Is it going to be a good one today or boring?" Because it was the day they weren't out on service sites that we were actually doing educational enrichment for them. I was like, "It's never ever wasted because even if you hate it, you're learning something about yourself." And I
Mm.
try to always remember to bring that back to my kids too about classes or teachers they didn't like when it's like
Yep.
this is really valuable for you.
Yeah. It's sort of a live and learn.
Yeah.
Like it's literally that old saying. I mean, that's it in a nutshell.
It's material for whatever's coming next, and you'd have no idea how it's going to serve you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, as always, everyone, thank you very much for listening. And if this started stirring something with you, I'm sure I'm saying this correct. Share it with somebody else who needs the reminder that you and they already know more than they think they do. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.